$1 million a year annually, right? Not cumulatively, like I've been in this company and I've earned over $4 million a year. So in many, some other companies, they talk about you being $1 million earners, how much you've made cumulatively. Whenever we talk about incomes, we say what you've made in the last 12 months. We always annualize it. So he's made millions of dollars since he's been here, but now in the last 12 months, he's made $1 million a year. And, we have this book. It's called the Financial Independence Council book. And it's a yearbook of people in our company that make, in order to get in the book, you have to make over $100,000 a year. And when I started a long time ago, the book was maybe half the size. And now it's almost like a phone book. I don't know if you guys know what a phone book is, but it's a yearbook. I mean, it's a yearbook of people, thousands of people, and you can see, the pictures in it. I know, you're looking into a Zoom, but when you're at 100 to 200,000, you have a square, and then when you're at 250, you have a little bit bigger picture. Where you're at when you're at so many people. When you're at 500, you have a bigger square. When you're at 750, you have a bigger square. And then the pinnacle here is when you're at $1 million a year, you have a page. And it ranks you based on income. And then in the back, it shows all the index by name and by profession. And I just remember wanting to get into this book when I first started, and I bought the book, and it was this little leaflet, and now it's obviously a huge book. And, I'm excited for my friends, Eric and Amber Davis, because if they can do it, we can do it. Right. And he was gracious enough to train. And, in that YouTube video that he did for us, I mean, I recorded it, Thomas recorded it for me. And I've been listening to it, and I just wanted to see if I could get any tips from the meeting. Obviously, I did. It was kind of like an interview. I basically interviewed him, and he told his story, and I'm going to go over the key takeaway that I got from the training, because I thought it was the thing about Eric. I love Eric. He's a very simple guy. He shoots from the hip. He's very simple. He's not some guy that you leave him and you're like, man, I have a long way to go. I'm so inferior. There's some people in Primerica, they're so good. You're like, man, I am a million years away from this guy or this person or this couple. Eric isn't like that. He's a very simple person. He's a hard worker. He has the right thinking, the right philosophy, a great work ethic, and he's a leader. But he's simple, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So, when people get started with our company, and this all leads into what I got from Eric. People have a lot of hangups, okay, and then even if you don't have these hangups initially, sometimes you can develop these hangups. I think obviously a lot of people don't have belief in themselves. They don't think they can do it. I just showed you, and this is a book of thousands of people that make $100,000 a year in our company. Thousands. And if you look at their background, not 100, not 200, not 300, not 1,000, thousands. I think 4,000 or 5,000 people make 100,000. I just said Eric Davis is the 106th $1 million earner. 106. I mean, we have hundreds of people making $1 million a year. And I think like in the last month or two, I mean, all these people are 10 years or younger. Some are 7 years into the business. From starting 7 years later, $1 million a year income. It's insane. It's financial services. This company has a 44, I mean, how many years is it now? 44-year track record. We're publicly traded. We have, I was looking at it, like $76 billion under management. Obviously we have $7 or $8 billion in insurance in force. And, so I think the number one factor for most people, not number one, but, they don't believe in themselves. They don't, can I be successful? Can I do it? Will I waste my time? They're not that confident, and they think that this might be a lot of hard work. And it is, because it's hard work to change yourself, and you got to work on yourself. Some people, it might be a belief in the company. They're not sure if the company is legitimate, all that stuff. And I think we have a lot of ways to overcome that. And there are a lot, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of time wasted, all those things. But for me, okay, the number one hang up that I had, the thing that almost got me out of the business, right now, you can post to the chat if you know what it is for me. Okay, I don't care what it is for you. But was I didn't want to talk to anybody. Okay, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to talk to my friends, my family. I didn't really care that much. Their family, they're kind of stuck with me, right? So, the embarrassment wasn't there. I definitely didn't talk to my coworkers, right? I'm from the Northern Virginia, DC metro area, and DC metro, Northern Virginia is even different than DC metro. I think Northern Virginia is extremely bougie, extremely corporate. People they're snobby. They have corporate jobs. Everybody has a degree or multiple degrees, and your resume is how many Big 5, Big 4 firms are on there, and everybody, and then you're doing something, and it's insurance and it's investments. And I definitely didn't want to talk to my coworkers and friends. And that was my biggest fear. So if you are like that, or if you've developed that over time, because sometimes even now, right, you're scared to talk to people. You're nervous. What are they going to say? What are they going to think? And you become kind of the secret agent, only talking to people you don't know. And that's it. That's, it's not a recipe for success here. I also just had a fear of speaking in general, right? I didn't, I know, some of you might know me in this platform now. There's years and years of experience, thousands of meetings, whether it was, with an individual client or interview or public speaking event. I've spoken in front of, if you cumulatively add it, hundreds of thousands of people, through my entire career. So a lot. And even then I still get very nervous, but when I was in the beginning, I had a fear of just speaking in general, right? I didn't, at my job, I didn't talk to people. I was very inconspicuous. Those last 3 years of college, I never spoke a word to anybody. I'd sit in the back. I never made any noise because I didn't want anybody calling on me. I never had an answer for anything. I just didn't, speak to people. I became more of a mute. Fear of people, just in general, new people, new experiences, dealing with people. And I wrote in here, fear is a euphemism. I wasn't fearful. I was scared to death. Okay, so when I say this stuff, fear of talking to people, that's a nice way to say it. That is a very polite way to say it. I was terrified. Now, not the cool thing, I was a cool guy, so I never wanted you to know that I was scared. So I had all the good, right answers on how to avoid getting uncomfortable. But deep down inside, I was terrified. Okay. So look, I think a lot of you are like me. I don't think it's the fear of belief in yourself or I think that, that might be a little bit, I don't know about the company, but I just didn't want to talk to anybody. I tried every way to figure this thing out where I didn't have to talk to anybody, where I didn't put myself out there. I didn't face any rejection. And I almost let it quit. And what happens is with this fear for the new recruits, the fears fester. They start to build up and then they quit. And my trainer, he did a really good job. What did he do? I got involved on a Friday with our company. I remember I was Friday, and then I took off work. My Fridays were a little slack day, so I went to the office, which was near my home. I went in, I did my paperwork. Saturday morning was training, and we had a Super Saturday. So the first training I ever went to was Super Saturday. And then Sunday night, we used to go back to the office, and we have a physical office, and we had something called Power Hour, and we would have to set up appointments. And I didn't know what Power Hour meant. He said, hey, just come back tomorrow and come back and bring, your phone and whatever it is. So I went there, and then we started making a list, and I was like, I hope this guy does not think I'm going to call them today. And he made me call. He closed me. He was a leader. And some of you guys know this story. I called a friend of mine, and my friend picked up, and I pretended I was like, hello. And, say I'm calling Shondell, and Shondell was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, hello. And she heard me. I heard her. She heard me. And I kept saying, hello, hello. And then I hung up. I was like, oh, she couldn't hear me. I guess it was a bad line. And he made me call again. And I called, and I set an appointment. And this was actually just an interview. It wasn't an appointment. I got this guest to the op meeting, and that person ended up joining. He became an RVP later. And it took me 18 months to actually recruit that person. So, if he wasn't strong right there, and he didn't make me get on the phone, and I was nervous, I was scared, but we did it. And then, kind of a breath of fresh air. I said, man, okay, it wasn't that bad. And then I went on to set 2 more appointments, one with my older sister and one with my parents. And we went out for that week, and that was it, away my career went, because I went on those first couple appointments. I got my first guest to the op meeting, and that was all she wrote. And here we are, millions of dollars later, hundreds of agents later, $100 million under management, whatever it is, 100 million in face amount of life insurance, 60 death claims later. And it's just crazy but I remember vividly how scared I was to pick up that phone. That phone got very heavy. I didn't want to set up any appointments. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And if my trainer didn't make me do that, then I probably would have quit. And that I am being sincere and genuine. So I understand the struggle is real. I know that the fear is very real for people. And even if you get here a lot long, you come in the business a lot more, and you've been successful, people still don't want to talk to people. Sometimes I'll get very confident and I'll say, Jen, give me your list. I'll call them. And then I look at the list. I'm like, I got to call these people. I get scared, right? I'll be honest with you, right? And I mean, I have all the confidence in the world, but you just get nervous, man. And people just don't want to call people and talk to people they don't know. Sometimes you meet somebody and, you're out, and I have kids, and, I'm out meeting people, and, sometimes you just get a little nervous. Should I say something? This is my neighbor. What if I don't see them? What if they say something to me and then it gets awkward? All these fears come in your mind, and still happens. Doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter how much success you have, you just get a little nervous. So I get it. I promise you, I get it. And what I learned from Eric Davis, right? And he did a like I said, a training for us. And he said, I hated setting appointments. Now I'm thinking this guy makes $1 million a year in 10 years. And he hates setting appointments. I never even used the word hate, because hate's such a strong word, but I know he was sincere when he said that. And think about that, number one. Okay. First point, you want to be successful in anything, you got to do stuff you hate. See, a lot of you let your personal feelings deter you from doing the things that you need to do. See, the entrepreneur, the feeling, I don't care if you don't, an entrepreneur doesn't buy a McDonald's because, the nobility in it. The entrepreneur buys a McDonald's because it's the quickest way to get financially free and free of a job. Well, I don't know anything about finance. It doesn't matter. This is a means to an end. I'm nervous. It doesn't matter. This is a plan to get you where you need to go. And see, we justify in our own mind. I don't like doing that. I would literally say that to myself. Well, I don't like doing it. Well, you know what? My entire job at my company, at SAIC and all the companies, all I did was stuff that I hated. And not only did I do stuff that I hated myself for going to the job. See, here I may have, like Eric Davis, hated setting appointments, but I didn't hate myself. I actually don't like going to the gym. I like the way I feel afterwards. I like the way I overcame something I didn't like to do. And then, you know what? In a sick way, then you like to do stuff you don't do. That's a weird way. After a while, you're like, oh, well, you know what? This is just life. It's success. It's discipline. It's doing stuff you actually really don't like so you can live. I don't like to invest money. I'd rather spend it now. But I like having the thought of having millions of dollars later. And so Eric Davis saying, I hated setting appointments. That just was enlightening. And then he said, so I had my recruits set them, and I taught them how to be really good at it. I thought about that, and I said, man, it's very, very important, that thinking. The number one reason why you're not having the success that you should have is because you don't have enough appointments to go on. Okay. And I'm talking about qualified appointments here. I'm not talking about people to call. The number one reason your team is not having the success that they should be having is because they don't have enough appointments to go on. Art Williams, the founder of our company, said the only way a part-timer loses is by not setting appointments. That's the only way they lose. They don't set appointments, they lose. Christian David, he used to always say this. I don't know if anybody remembers this. He always say, no appointments, no nothing. Nothing happens if you don't set appointments. No presentations, no referrals, no money, no recruits, no field training recruits, no promotions, no appointments, no nothing. I will come back to the law of diminishing intent in a little bit, but it requires leadership, because your recruits and you don't, just like Eric, it's an internal thing. You don't want to set these appointments. And then our plan is we hope our recruits set appointments. How does that work out for you? Hey, Shondell, I want you to call these appointments. I'm going to go through the script. I want you to watch the appointment setting video 10 times and set up these appointments, use the alternate choice close. I role play it with them. I do all that stuff. And then Shondell calls me 2 hours later and I'm like, all right, I got appointments for the week. I'm going to make money. And Shondell, who has been unemployed for 6 years, in that 2 hours just got a job. She calls you excited, Shaq. I'm like, yes, what's up, Shondell? We got these appointments. She's like, you're never gonna believe what happened. I got a job.